my intention is that we'll set some hearing dates as well as a trial date to get this case on track. I also noticed that there's two motions have been filed, one for severance and one, a second motion to reduce bond. They were just filed yesterday afternoon. General, do you have copies of those?
I do, Your Honor. I do.
Let's first talk about where we are in discovery process.
Your Honor, let me give an update. The last time we were here, we talked about we had some outstanding forensic testing, and right now we believe that the final latent print and biological testing is currently underway at the lab. I will also add that in this case, we've provided Mr. Sproles 87,000 images, 57 hours of video footage, 18 hours of audio footage, 28,000 text messages, and over 24,000 pages of social media. And that doesn't include the stuff that's been generated by the TBI. So we've provided quite a bit of information. So we're kind of at the end of that. And I think the next stage for us, as far as when you're considering scheduling, will be that we will be deciding what we intend to introduce as exhibits. And of course, we will provide that list and those PowerPoint to Mr. Sproles, and that may generate motions as well. There may be motions to exclude or not. Right. So just to give the court an idea of what we have been doing during the last few months and kind of where we're at. So wrapping up, I think the end of the last of the analysis that we have in discovery, but there has been a tremendous amount of it that we've provided Mr. Sproles.
All right. Mr. Sproles, do you want to be heard?
No, Judge, I agree. There's a tremendous amount of information we're dealing with.
So I guess what we probably ought to do is just, how long do we think it's going to take to try this case?
I think several weeks. I think maybe 3 or 4 weeks, including jury selection.
All right. And do the parties have a suggestion as to how far out we go?
Your Honor, I think that would probably about this time next year would be appropriate, because I anticipate again that we're going to have various motions, and we have various expert witnesses, and I think that we're also going to we're going to ask for a jury questionnaire and determine whether or not the case can be tried here, or we're going to have to go get a jury somewhere and come back. Our goal is to select a jury here in Sullivan County, but I think that there'll have to be some groundwork laid to determine whether that can be done beforehand. And I know that we have trials already set because of the COVID backlog. Almost every month, I think there's a major trial from January on into the summer.
I do. In fact, I've got several week-long trials all throughout next year. So when you say several weeks, you're thinking 3, 2, 4?
3 to 4, I think. Maybe rather than October, begin sometime mid-September, because I know that there'll be a judges conference and other things. So somewhere in that period would be after Labor Day would be the time to begin the trial.
So if we started September 12th, when is the race? That could be a problem.
I agree. Right. I think
Yeah, I'm glad
that's
you
correct.
mentioned that.
I think that's good.
What about the 20th? If we started on the 26th, I'm afraid if we tried to start on the 19th, we still have people
Mm.
from that race weekend who haven't gotten out yet. And that could cause a problem.
26 is fine. State.
All right. They'll give us 1, 2, 3. September 26th, good for you?
That's fine, Judge.
Then we'll set the trial date for September 26th. '22 at 8:30. I'm going to suggest, just in case, just in case we have to go somewhere else and pick a jury, that you block off that week of the 19th as well. Because if we have to go somewhere to get a jury, then the race won't be a factor anymore. Now we can work backwards. August the 11th for a pretrial motion day. And I think what we probably need to do is just go ahead while we're here and schedule. Probably we might need more than one motion day,
I think that would be appropriate and probably
and
maybe
probably
one
also
earlier.
need another status day in between
Right.
in there just to make sure everything's on track.
Judge Goodwin, did you receive my schedule?
I did,
Okay,
but
I only asked because I'm available the week before the 11th, but not the week of the 11th in August.
I was going to try to avoid that week because it's a state election day on one of those days. What about July 28th? Is that good for y'all? We'll move the motion day from from August 11th to July 28th.
That's fine.
At 9. Yeah, I want to mark that whole day off for motions.
Thank you.
Let's set a second motion day for April 7th at 1:30. We'll mark a half a day off for that.
What time did you say?
At, on July 28th, it's at 9 a.m. On 4/7, it'll be at 1:30.
Thank you.
When you do file motions for both sides, starting now, I want you to number them sequentially so I can keep track of them. We had a murder case a couple of weeks ago, and motions were being filed literally right up until the morning of the trial. And, it was about 2-inch thick file, and I couldn't find anything. So I'm thinking what we're going to do is, so general just, states motion number one, number two,
Sure.
defense motion number one, number two. And let's picking up now. I know we've already got, I think, 3 or 4 motions filed. And I may go back in and handwrite where we are. So if you file going forward from today, make it just start with 4 or 5. I don't care which, because I think you've got motion for change of venue. Now we've got severance and the second bond. We won't worry about the first bond motion. So just pick up with 4 going forward. That way I can keep track of them. And if I can get the clerk's office to, this is going to be a big file. So go ahead and let's get an expandable folder. Let's get another file folder. And as motions are coming in, I want the motions in a separate file. Yeah, that way I can go and organize that. Next thing I want to talk about, as far as scheduling goes, is we probably need to get a date to get the bulk of the motions filed. And I understand there could be other issues coming in, especially if we have late discovery, but I want to get a motions filing deadline. And if we could make that March 1st, that would give the state time to reply if they need to.
You're already going to set a date, or are you going to propose put forward a jury questionnaire, or do you want us to submit those to you?
Yes. I would like to have that submitted on that same day by March 1st.
March 1st, jury questionnaire.
That way we can start looking at it.
Thank you.
General, do you think you'll be able to get all the discovery to Mr. Sproles before March 1st?
Yes.
All right.
I'm hopeful that what we're waiting for the TBI will be within what, a month or 2.
I can't hear you.
I think that that what we're waiting for from the TBI, those the last of the forensic testing, hopefully will be back by maybe latest November.
All
So that
right.
would be well ahead of March.
So
and
if I
give him
set
an
a discovery deadline of maybe February 1st,
Okay.
that would give him time to go through and
Judge, as far as that goes, General had mentioned the notice of the exhibits they intend to introduce. That, I would need that in order to determine if there are going to be any more motions. So, I mean, is that something that we think we can do by that February date?
General, do you think you can have,
That would require us to be ready before March 1st. And I'm not, given the volume that we have, I'm not sure we can have, I know we can complete discovery, but whether or not we can have that far in advance, have determined what exhibits that we definitely intend to introduce a trial would be awful early.
let's say, have that done by May 15th?
I think we can do that.
That way,
I think that's right.
because we're going to have 2 motions days. And that's something we can take up at the second motion day as we get a little bit closer to trial.
Okay.
That's fine. I didn't mean that to be pushy, just.
No, I think that's,
I think that's reasonable. And that gives us an opportunity to have that ready for him, for Mr. Sproles to examine. Then from that, he can determine whether or not he wants to file any motions, any objections
based on the exhibits. Right?
based on the exhibits.
And Judge, one other thing, if we could address, the bond motion, I'd prefer to have the court hear it prior to,
I'm going to say that. I'm going to.
okay.
Negotiated settlement by June 1st of 22. Those are the major milestones that I wanted to make sure we had dates for. Are there any that I left out that the parties can think of?
Not for the state, Your Honor. I think you covered everything.
And you've already filed notice of enhanced sentence, right?
They have, Judge.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
Judge Goodwin.
Yes.
The only other date is potentially if you may go out of county for a jury, you may need a day well enough in advance to go and have the jurors summoned in and a questionnaire handed out. And that also allows you, if need be, to advise those jurors not to view anything. And so you would want it to be before your July motion date.
All right. We've got a jury questionnaire deadline of March 1st. We're probably going to deal with the motion for change of an hour or venue on that April 7th motion day. That's one of the things we'll take up on that day. So once that decision is made, then at that time, if it gets changed, we'll set out a plan of attack, where we're going, when we're going.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The other thing along those lines that I want to talk about, if we're finished with the scheduling, and I want to reduce these dates to a scheduling order, and I'll enter that either this week or first of next week,
Right.
and get y'all copies.
Thank
The other thing that I want to talk about today is the publicity issue. I think what I want to do, and I'm hoping to have this to you guys for you to look at and get your comments on, is I'm going to prepare a jury questionnaire just on the issue of publicity. And I'm going to submit that to an upcoming jury panel. It may not be the next one, but it'll be soon. And just to gauge their sort of temperature as far as publicity goes. That way, when we get to April 7th, we'll have some data that we can make an informed decision as far as whether we have to change the denier or not. Hopefully, I'll get that to you first of next week for your review. It won't be very long.
Okay.
Because it's just literally going to be on publicity issue.
Okay.
And what I'll do is, whichever jury panel we decide, and it may not be the next one because I don't want, there's going to be a lot of publicity around today's hearing. And I don't know that it would be an accurate gauge if the next panel that I have coming in a couple of weeks gets that questionnaire.
I agree.
So it may be out a little bit.
Judge, how many more jury panels do you have this year? Just the one?
I should have this one coming up, and then at the end of the year, I'll probably have another one to get ready for 23 or 22.
So that's probably the one that we're
Possibly.
looking at. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not going to say definitely because I don't want to let everybody out there
No, I understand.
know which panel it's going to be.
I understand.
I don't want a whole bunch of people reading up on it just before they come to court
Right.
when they get their summonses.
Right.
But I want to get it to you and get it finalized now. That way it's ready to go when we just randomly pick one. And I may not even use mine. I may even, if Judge Rogers brings a panel in, and I may do one of mine and one of his just to get extra data.
Okay.
It doesn't have to just be mine.
Right.
All right. Those were the issues that I had to deal with today. Are there any other issues from the defense? Oh,
No.
we have to set this other motions. The severance motion we'll save for April. I don't think that needs to be done right this
No,
minute.
the bond motion.
The bond motion we will set for December 3rd at 1:30. All right. Now, is there anything else to take up from the defense?
No, Judge, I think that covers everything.
Anything else to take up from the state on today?
No, Your Honor.
All right. That'll be all then.